you know, we have new safety zones in our squares. All the squares in the city of Cambridge, the speed limit is now 20 miles per hour. Our squares are the social and economic heart of the city. Slower speeds will keep them safe and vibrant for residents and visitors alike. Next time you're in one of the squares, keep an eye out for one of the new safety zone signs, and if you're driving, keep the speed under 20 miles per hour. If you want to learn more information about the lower speed limits, please visit the Vision Zero website.
Welcome to Happiness in the City. This is Barbara, and today I'd like us to focus on a very important topic. That is the word LOGOS, L-O-G-O-S. Last 2 weeks I have been preparing you in the knowledge of rhetorics, which is the knowledge about communications and ways to persuade people to communicate with them. And we talked about ethos and we talked about pathos, which are considered aspects of communication, and they refer to emotions and matters of connection between the speaker and the audience. Now is the appropriate time to look at the third part of traditional knowledge about those diverse aspects of communication, and that is logos. And the reason I left logos to talk to you about after I talked about pathos and ethos is because often people confuse logos with the other aspects of persuasion. And logos is different because it refers to the very tool of communication, which is language. So we talked about the speaker or speakers and the audience or audiences, and today we have to talk about the nature of what connects the speaker and the audience, or those in the audience who want to connect to the speaker by asking questions or comments. So we have to now look at the nature of logos, language. If we understand the difference between the nature of the speaker, the nature of the audience, and then look at the nature of speech as what connects them, we will achieve a proper way to address disagreements. Because the way to connect message from the speaker to the audience or messages from the audience to the speaker is through language. What is happening within the speaker and within the audience are individual reactions. Sometimes they can be the same in large numbers of people, but they will not be expressed unless they are connected to logos. The same with the speaker. The speaker may show up and say nothing. So the speaker doesn't connect with the audience in ways that are verbal. And we have to have proper understanding of this, because today in social media, when there is a disagreement, the first reaction is to cut off the speaker or the audience. I know some people who were so unlucky in this that both as a speaker and the audience, the speaker and the audience were removed from certain platforms. And I was looking at it thinking, this is wrong security. This is security that does not understand the difference between pathos, ethos, and logos. Maybe we should require anyone who would have anything to do with security in our platforms and social media to have knowledge of philology, to have knowledge of linguistics and those certain basic forms of philosophical rhetorics. I think that should be job requirement, because the communication between audience and the speaker is different than having a shooter who is attacking with a weapon that is of military nature. Those are two different contexts of security. So to eliminate threat from a shooter, we have to eliminate the shooter. But in communication, we have to understand that we can talk to the speaker talks to the audience. There is a certain connection created by language. So if the audience and the speaker are eliminated, the language is non-existent in a particular context of communication. And if the language is non-existent, then that creates a void between the speaker and the audience, or audiences that were eliminated from certain platforms, or speakers who were eliminated. And that creates strife. And that creates certain confusion and chaos, because people want to access modes of linguistic communication and they are eliminated as if they were endangering somebody's property or life in contexts that are non-linguistic. So in social media, we have to have understanding of linguistic aspects of communication and to have security around it through application of linguistic communication. Whereas in other contexts, we can apply security appropriate for those contexts. So the way to bring in peace to Facebook, to Twitter, to Instagram, to Gap, to many other platforms of communication, we have to have the right security that understands logos and that understands that in order to create peace, we have to use logos as a form of connection. And that will help deal with the speaker and the audience. And the chances are that logos will create connections of understanding or expectation of future conversations, and that will create peace. When I look at my life story, there were many things that I thought were true, and they were true until I learned high-level knowledge about those things, and then I discarded them because I knew higher truths. Some of you who know my story know I had a lame leg from a car accident injuries, and that was the true story. And the true story was also that it was hopeless and couldn't be healed. And then one day I met a group of Pentecostal Christians. They prayed for me for a miracle from God. The miracle happened and the leg is no longer lame. Was the former message true? Yes, it was. And then the leg is no longer lame supernaturally. That's new truth from a high level. So we have diversity of truth. Some people demand truth, but it's much more complex than people think it is. So we have to have multidimensional understanding of communication to explain contexts and to explain times in which certain truths occurred. For instance, in the 80s, the greatest female singer was Madonna. And when people were speaking about her, they admired the amazing connection she had with the audience. People loved her. People felt that she could reach anybody's heart with a loving, emotional, beautiful message. And that was true at that time. Today, Madonna is on social media and connects with people through a lot of written messages. So she's still a communicator, but people don't talk about her as the greatest singer. Then they look at Lady Gaga as her replacement. So we have to have understanding of diverse contexts and diverse tools that those contexts can connect to in order to evaluate somebody. The word logos is a fascinating word. There are certain things that I wanted you to read from my favorite Wikipedia, and I encourage you to support it. It's non-profit and it has been providing amazing service for the whole world. Once again, let's do it. Okay. Yeah. So here it is. I want to do it together. For some reason, it won't let me do it today. Okay, let's do it like this. Logos. Logos is a term in Western philosophy, psychology, rhetoric, and religion derived from a Greek word variously meaning ground, plea, opinion, expectation, word, speech, account, reason, proportion, and discourse. So here we have an amazing diversity of words connected to the word logos. And before I continue, I wanted also to bring in aspects of the source of logos. And in the ancient biblical testament, it's God himself, and I encourage you to read about it, because God is also called the Word, but there's an explanation that God is greater than the Word, and it's a very difficult truth to grasp. And then we have birth of Jesus Christ, who is Son of God, and he's called LOGOS, the living word of God, from God. And it is an amazing concept to grasp because that connects human language to divine language, to divinity of Logos. And that is ultimate peace. And I've been searching for this peace as soon as I understood it, that it is part of divine presence of Jesus Christ of Nazareth on earth. So when we look at the word logos, we have those words associated with this word: speech, account, reason, proportion, discourse, plea, ground, opinion. So when this audience and the speakers or speaker, the connection of logos is where reasoning is happening, where people have interaction to understand the meaning of the content they are communicating with. That's why we cannot have artificial intelligence doing this. There has to be human presence in order to create the reasoning and the opinions and to be the right ground for this. And that's something to really encourage us to create ways to do that. The misunderstanding about logos is often connected to the fact that some people associate it only as arguments, but it's only one of the ways logos is present. So as we are searching today for the right way to deal with communication, we have to stand on the ground of logos. Those of you who have faith should do it through learning about it from God, and you will know that He comes with His peace and love and patience and forgiveness. So He's not banning people. He waits, He persuades them, He tries to create redemption. And I understood that the best way to deal with logos is with God and Christ, because with redemption comes life. Life is received in logos as redemption from living logos, Jesus Christ of Nazareth. That's a very good deal, because many people are unable to communicate with each other because their language is not very much alive. So when divine life comes, divine light comes with it. Some people say light is first and life later. But life and light are connected, and then logos, communication, receives redemption, new life, and we have time and energy and ways to reason, to create arguments, to persuade about the right thing to do, the noble thing to do. God teaches us to search for goodness anywhere. That is not limited to one tribe or one nation, because God's goodness is in the entire earth, in the universe. We are searching for God's goodness and love in the universe. People are creating rockets. We are learning about planets and other universes, galaxies. It's a way to search for logos from God, and it's a wonderful thing to do. So today, as I am drawing attention to this amazing word, logos, I ask you to first look for it, and then ask God for life, redemptive life, to create that connection between the speaker and the audience, and then see how much peace is created. Because when the audience feels life redemption, when the speaker feels life redemption, the chances are that logos will manifest also divine love, and people will start feeling that divine love between each other, and that divine love can create connection of peace that will make banning irrelevant. I grew up in a neighborhood that was very talkative. People loved to talk to each other. We would spend hours and hours talking to each other in schools and then in playgrounds. And the neighborhood was very peaceful. All kids got along good with each other. There were no fights. If there was a fight, it was so rare that it was considered an unusual event. There were no shootings, but the communication of redemptive life was the foundation taught to us by our teachers, priests, rabbis, our parents, family members, and we grew up with it. I grew up with it. For me, it's natural. I know that it's possible to have that beautiful connection and have wonderful connections between neighbors. And logos as redemption is higher than politics itself. Politics is one form of ways in which logos exists, political speech, city speech. But the entire life is not organized around politics. There's this nature of life. There are certain things that people have to do every day to live. We need that redemptive life and light within us 24/7. Politics is about decision making connected primarily with finance, with directions in which communities go, and it is not the same thing. It is connected, but it's not the same thing as life 24/7. So the concept applied to redemptive life of an individual is different than redemptive life of politics, though God is also interested in politics because he is king. He runs his own kingdom of God, and he gives redemption to the leaders. He gives redemption to those he appoints, leaders, kings, queens, and then to those that create order in societies. He will not give that redemptive light and life to those who are against him, but he will do it for those who are with him, even if they are elected. But if they are with him, divine love will come and show them the guiding light and the guiding life. So, in search for world peace, we have to understand the nature and meaning of logos. And this is what I encourage you to do. I encourage all social media companies to hire linguists, people who understand logos, some philosophers who understand it, people who have knowledge about it. I have a degree in philology, philologia, that is the term used, love of logos. Philologia, philo, love, logos, logia. So I have Masters of Arts degree in logos. And I think that we should respectfully return to the right understanding of logos, and to understand that it is not something that can be imposed. This is knowledge that has to be acquired, grasped in the right way, and applied in the right way. And any security that does not have love of logos will fail, because love of logos, by definition, is love. Love of words, love of speech. This means that the concept of hate speech makes no sense, because it is not the nature of logos to have hate or to be hateful, because logos is divine speech as source, and then the connection between the speaker and the audience. Hate refers to pathos or ethos, to the way people respond to speech. So speech itself is sacred logos. And this is what American founding fathers profoundly understood. That's why they put the right to free speech in the Constitution of the United States of America. And they trusted that God's presence will provide security for that loving speech, for logos, that it will create philologia. Thank you so much for listening to me, and we'll continue next week with another edition